Joining me now on News9 Live from Israel is Brigadier General Amir Avivi, founder of Israel Defense and Security Forum. Thank you very much, Brigadier General Avivi, for joining us at what is a very, very difficult time for your country.
My pleasure.
And my heartfelt condolences over the loss of lives. I know that many Israelis have said in the last few days that this is our 9/11. The tragedy that has unfolded has happened on an unimaginable scale. How would you describe it?
It's definitely the most devastating event Israel had ever since 1948. I can say that this is a full-scale war. We have more than 700 people killed, most of them civilians, babies, children, women, youngsters. And we have around 150, maybe a bit less, people that were kidnapped into Gaza. So this is devastating. And at this point, we're preparing for an offensive operation in Gaza.
As we speak, that operation is underway. We are told that Gaza is under complete siege. Let's talk for a moment about those hostages that you referred to. Hamas says they have more than 100 Israelis who are being held hostage in Gaza. How concerned is Israel right now about the safety of those people, and how confident are you that they can be brought back home safely?
We're very concerned, but I must say we're in a state of war. This is not a normal situation. We're not dealing now with the hostages. We have a whole unit that is checking who are we talking about, the names, talking to the families, but we are now concentrating on mobilizing the army, 300,000 soldiers that were sent to Gaza and to the northern border, and preparing for a massive attack to destroy Hamas capabilities in Gaza.
Could you give us some details of this counter-offensive that is currently underway?
So the exact objectives of the counter-offensive will be decided by the government. My personal view is that we need to make sure that we destroy Hamas infrastructure and leadership and not enable them to build it back again, because we have been in many operations. Each time Hamas is hit, and it takes them like 2 years to build up again their forces. It's not a reality we can continue to have. So it's really a challenge for the government and the military to do the operation in a way that ensures that Hamas won't be able to build up the force again.
You are saying that Hamas will be totaled, it will not be able to build up its force again. Brigadier General, I have to ask the question which is being asked globally. I know that there will come a time for a thorough investigation into what happened, but the question that is boggling everyone's mind is just how could an intelligence failure on such an unimaginably massive scale take place, given how strong Israel's security and intelligence apparatus is, whether it is Shin Bet or Mossad. People are just not able to wrap their heads around how there was absolutely no intelligence available that something like this was being plotted by Hamas in Israel's own backyard. What would you say?
I think that I've been talking about it a lot in the last few months, and not necessarily in the context of Hamas in Gaza, but also what's going on in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria. We have probably the best, most advanced intelligence, talking about technological capabilities, but there is a reality where the other side is adapting to these capabilities. And in this reality, you need many times to go back to the basics, to humans, to the ability to have spies, to infiltrate the organizations, to have people in really high-ranking positions. And I think that we went too much to technology and forgot the basics of how you collect intelligence, because at the end of the day, we're talking about humans and about the ability to adapt. And also, I think that like in the Yom Kippur War, there was also a conception that Hamas is not interested at this time in a conflict, and therefore there was less readiness. We'll have many, many years to come to really study and understand what happened here. But at the moment, we are mobilizing our country, united and strong, to really deal with this huge challenge.
You're talking about how some felt that perhaps Hamas did not want conflict of this nature. Had some amount of complacency set in the Israeli government? There are also those who are saying that the domestic political turmoil may have acted as a trigger for Hamas to unleash these attacks while the Israeli government was dealing with what was happening politically at home. And also, would you say that the much famed Iron Dome of Israel, in a sense, completely failed or collapsed on this occasion? Has it shattered people's sense of confidence in the country's security and intelligence apparatus?
Well, talking about the turmoil that Israel experienced, I think it affected really bad our deterrence. There was an understanding in Iran and in Hamas that Israel is weaker, is less strong, is less united. But this is something that our enemies always do the same mistake. Arafat did this mistake, Hezbollah did this mistake, and now Hamas. They always underestimate the strengths of the Israeli society. I can tell you that at the moment, the draft to the units is more than 150%. We don't know what to do with so many soldiers. And they were preparing for this ground attack, which probably will take a few days. And we have to understand something else. This is not about just a local issue. This is a global issue. This is why the United States is so involved. What is happening here is that we were on the verge of building an alliance of the West, Israel, and the Sunni world to block the expansion of Russia, Iran, and China in the Middle East and in Africa. Iran understood that this is going to be dramatic and decided to mobilize Hamas and try to stop this important process. This is why America is so irritated. This is why America is supporting fully Israel, not only because we are allies. This is why America is sending warships and sending also a threat to Iran and Hezbollah not to get involved. We are talking here about a global event. This is not just about Israel and Hamas.
This is a global event. Many in Israel have said in the last few days, many in the government have said that they have reasons to believe that Iran has orchestrated these attacks. It has fully supported Hamas in all of this. Is that your view as well?
Iran is funding Hamas, training Hamas, equipping Hamas, and ordering Hamas. Hamas is an Iranian proxy. It has two bad things. It's Muslim Brotherhood. It's like ISIS, but it's also an Iranian proxy that gets its guidance from Iran. They couldn't launch this attack without Iranian approval. And the Iranians can say whatever they want and try to lie and say that they were not involved. Iran is the head of the snake, and this snake is spread all around the Middle East and beyond. And we'll have to deal with Iran later on. But at the moment, we are focused on Gaza, on Hamas, on restoring the security in the south of Israel.
Many are also asking, is this now a two-front war that Israel is waging against both Hamas and Hezbollah, which has also joined the offensive against Israel?
Hezbollah, if they wanted to fight us, they should have joined 6 o'clock in the morning when Hamas started on Saturday. They didn't do that. Now, Israel is in full readiness with hundreds of thousands of soldiers recruited, with the Northern Command ready for war. Not exactly the situation that is good for Hezbollah to join war. So Hezbollah is trying to shoot here and there, not do anything that might bring it on the verge of war. I also don't see Iran giving up Hezbollah so fast, because if Hezbollah goes now to war and Israel destroys both Hamas and Hezbollah, the next step will be that Israel will have complete freedom of operation to also destroy the nuclear plan of Iran. So I'm not sure this is in Iran's best interest. Therefore, there is a lot of talks about Hezbollah joining. It's not as easy as it looks, and especially when the America is moving warships in the Mediterranean in front of Lebanon and threatening Hezbollah not to intervene.
You're right. The US has said that it stands solidly with its ally Israel at this time. They're sending ammunition, naval warships, military aircraft. But let me ask you this. Could Hamas have carried out these attacks on Israel with the purpose of sabotaging, improving ties between Israel and Saudi Arabia? That is one school of thought.
I think this is the main issue here, and Hamas did a huge mistake. They think that the response of Israel will be the way it was till now, with Air Force attacks and them being able to recover. This is a completely different scenario. We're in a full-scale war, and the outcome will be very different, and we'll see this in the coming weeks.
You are saying this is a full-scale war. I know that the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has said we are at war, but at the moment, it is a counter-offensive. I know that Gaza is currently under siege as we speak, but, some are asking, is there likely to actually be a full-scale war on Gaza that Israel could launch in the days ahead? I was speaking to Maya Kadosh earlier this evening, and she said all options are on the table. What is your thought on that?
It will be devastating for Israel's future if we don't destroy Hamas. I'm expecting the IDF to gain control again of Gaza, destroy completely Hamas capabilities, gain back freedom of operation in this area, and not let Hamas ever build again capabilities in this region. This will be also beneficial for the Palestinians, who will be liberated by one of the more vicious and cruel organizations on the globe. But we'll have to see. This is Israel's government decision, and I'm hoping they will take the right decision.
What would you say to those who say that the Israeli government's resettlement efforts in Gaza made the situation a bad situation far worse?
There is no settlements in Gaza, none. All our towns are on the Israeli side, recognize international borders. So I don't understand this argument.
Okay.
We retreated from Gaza completely, giving the Palestinians a chance to build a life, and they decided to build a terror state. And now we're dealing with this.
Okay. And what about concerns being expressed that there are likely to be mass casualties, civilian casualties in Gaza as Israel's retaliation continues?
Well, Hamas uses its citizens as human shields, and this is devastating, but this is the reality. Israel will always fight according to international law. We'll do whatever we can to minimize casualties, but a war is a war, and there will be casualties, and this is the reality. We're in a full-scale war.
Full-scale war. Final question. What do you think are the biggest lessons for Israel in this?
The biggest lesson is not to do the same mistake again and again. We could have handled Hamas years ago, long before they butchered so many children and women and elderly. And unfortunately, we do that only in the worst scenario, and it's sad because we could have prevented it long ago.
All right, Brigadier General Amir Avivi, thank you very much for your time. Stay safe, and we certainly hope that this is over soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.